I would first like to give two new speakers the chance to introduce themselves. So maybe first Oliver.
Yeah, thank you. Oliver Kraft, Vice President for Academic Affairs since last Sunday. Actually that has an interesting link to something that has been discussed before. So I'm now responsible at KIT for research and education and have a team for that with 5 vice provosts. And one of the main ideas is really getting research and education closer together because, and I think that's in particular in AI an important aspect, is I think many things in academic life are too slow and in Europe as well. And so we need to speed up. I mean, and that's something what is really important. And one aspect in that is that having really even closer ties between educating the next generation and research, and have them right there. And that's part of my mission now in the new position.
Okay, thanks. Very interesting. And Timo?
Yeah. I'm Timo Dickscheid. I'm from Jülich, from the research center in Jülich. I'm working on AI methods in the neurosciences as a computer scientist. And I have been part of Helmholtz AI from the very beginning, so I was even part of the initial discussions of shaping up the concept, and so I've basically followed all the story of bringing the different centers in Helmholtz together on AI topics and seeing what's happening here now on these conferences over the years. And I'm also in several active collaborations also with France, with CEA in particular, and also in the neuroscience through eBrains, which is a European infrastructure for brain research, which we have built with major contributions from Germany and France. So I have also quite some experience and interests in the collaboration with France on these topics.
Okay, thanks. I would first like to ask you to introduce Helmholtz AI very briefly, because now we had the introduction of all the French institutions. Can you pitch this Helmholtz AI in 3 minutes?
Okay. Try to do it very briefly. So we have this for quite a few years now already. The idea in Helmholtz AI was to, as we always say, to democratize AI, but to bring together AI researchers and the domain scientists in Helmholtz to solve problems with AI solutions and to push forward the development of AI solutions. And the idea in Helmholtz AI was from the beginning to have units sitting in the different centers which work very closely together. And one of the main ideas of the concept is that each of these units in the different research fields has a consultant team, AI consultants, and I think we quite shaped this profile of this job profile in Helmholtz AI. AI consultants who are really there to work with domain scientists to solve, to find a quick path to a solution with AI methods for a scientific problem. I think this is a very successful concept. And they are paired with research groups in the different centers who do research on AI and of course work closely with the consultant teams. And to distribute this from the Helmholtz AI units to the researchers, there are on different levels mechanisms to get these collaborations ongoing, and the lightweight mechanism I would say is vouchers, where researchers can apply for small-scale projects of about 6 months, where they are then matched with a consultant to solve a particular problem. Then there is on a higher level, much larger mechanism to apply for Helmholtz AI projects, which have a long, I think that's typically 1.5 year scope. I'm not exactly sure, in the order of 250K funding to do a little bit larger collaborations. And then of course there is a lot of activity through Helmholtz AI to organize conferences like this one, where we bring together the different research fields.
Thanks. Julien, yeah, does that resonate with AISSAI?
Sorry?
Does that resonate? Can you make links
Yes.
with AISSAI?
Yeah, something resonates, but not all of them. In particular, in AISSAI, we don't do this consulting to research labs, not yet, at least. So this exists at CNRS in another form. Maybe Sophie mentioned it, but also there is a pool of engineers that can participate to projects for something like 6 months. So But this is not part of AISSAI. So AISSAI really focuses on one of the points is the interdisciplinarity, not only, but it's one of the main drivers of that. And is a thematic semester, which bring people from different disciplines together on one or several topics, which is a bit what you're doing here in this conference, of course, in a larger scale, but that's also the idea that we kind of have. Yeah.
May I ask quickly? So you said you have AI experts really joining a lab for 6 months, right? I think it was in your presentation.
Yeah. So this is CNRS really at the higher level, if you want. So there is a pool of engineers who research and apply and ask if an engineer can come and help them for a project. So this is possible, yes. So this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds similar to what AI consulting is doing, right? So they are really embedded in a research team for 6 months. So is it, maybe I have a question on that, is it to start a project or to accompany, to bring it together? Or?
Marie knows better, but I think it depends, right? Sometimes it finishes already, and sometimes it triggers a longer project.
It can be both. The idea would be to somehow catalyze the research, make it faster.
Okay.
So it can be at the start or during a project. Yes.
But we not necessarily send the consultants on site, right? This is not
no,
baked in.
So the consultants are not embedded per se in the research team. They have their own team, and we are like doing consulting, but there are a lot of regular exchange during all the project with the teams, and they can also visit.
Yeah, can I ask a question on that? How does it work? The language is different sometimes between the AI expert and the people work in a given discipline. So how do you adjust? Also, how do you understand what is the problematics? Because in the cooperation we could have, for instance, with computer scientists at the local university level, sometimes, well, you spend a lot of time explaining what you are doing to the other guy, and also him telling you which solution you could really use.
So I think so there are 6 different consultant teams, and each team is focusing on one of the research fields.
Yeah.
And that's a learning process. So my team is focusing on health, for example, and we have learned to communicate with health researchers. And probably it will be very tough if we would just have to jump on a project with energy researchers. So I think we have learned that, but it's also, we are only interacted with a specific research field. Yeah. And now I would like to do a little bit of a landscape of the existing collaboration. So you mentioned CEA, right? And I think, Sophie, you mentioned also this systematic collaboration with KIT somehow. Maybe you can elaborate, both of you.
Yeah, maybe I started saying a few words. I mean, so I would say that we have, I think, around the world, many bilateral collaborations where we try to find partners for certain areas and try, well, the best or very good partners in certain areas. And of course, France, I think, within Europe is our most important partner in general for all the areas that we are working in. I mean, we have long-standing tradition with CEA and energy, I mean, obviously. So in AI, it's the University of Grenoble, where we have strong ties. But also in other areas, I mean, for instance, we are part of what's called the European Campus EUCOR here along the River Rhine, where Strasbourg and Mulhouse are partners. So as I said, so there are many different activities, and I think, I mean, that's the way science works. I mean, if we decide top down, this is one partner, and now we tell all our professors you have to work with them. I mean, this won't work, obviously, and so we need to find the right partners for the right areas. And here it turns out there are personal links also, and that of course is always helpful. And AI is one of the major topics in that particular collaboration. And that one other aspect is in that what we learn. I mean, it's even within Germany, within Helmholtz, sometimes hard to collaborate and have free exchange of people and ideas and everything. And I think that's really needed. And across borders, this becomes even more difficult to organize that. And so this is definitely something that we have to work on in Europe.
So how is the process? So you say it's coming bottom up, so it's the researchers, there's a strong interest, and how do you or the leadership in KIT support this?
Well, if it's really more than just a, let's say, collaboration between two PIs or so, I mean, then we get involved and have basically a discussion then with our partners there, the vice president for research, or we have also one for international affairs, and they would be in touch and discuss if it's possible to have a broader program on that. And we have the seed money program where then scientists can apply. And sometimes it's completely open, but sometimes it's dedicated for certain areas. And that would then start collaboration. And of course, the goal is then to get third-party funding to sort of have a longer-term possibility to interact. And sometimes, and this is really, in that sense, it's not Grenoble, it's the EUCO that I mentioned, where it's really institutionalized, where we also got European regional funding, Interreg, where basically the activity as such is supported, and you get it then on a sort of more, in that sense, not administrative level, but then it's really institutionalized, and then you have the institution is there, and you have a framework that is lasting, and where you can have more actions in there. While in this one, if there's a loss of interest on the scientific side, then maybe that program would also stop. That's what I'm saying. So, yeah.
At the moment, there's an institutional link between UGA and KIT. Mm-hmm. So we've got in Grenoble, we've got strategic partners, and KIT is among them, and we've got specific calls for strategic partners for enlarging and increasing the collaborations between the two institutes. Yeah. And I think last year we had four PhD funding between our institute. So that's growing. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Nicolas, do you know Centre Borelli also has some collaborations with German institutions?
We used to have, just before COVID, we organized for 3 years, if I remember well, a French-German workshop. Mm-hmm. And it was sponsored by our industrial partners, who had themselves their strategic partners on both sides of the border. So it was Atos and Siemens, Atos Worldline and Siemens, and they brought us in contact with their academic partners in Germany. So it was Passau University and TUM, and we had this workshop, and it was a very nice event, about 100 people more or less, 1 year in Germany, 1 year in France. But then with COVID, we lost and also the landscape from the viewpoint of the companies also evolved, and we couldn't maintain that. But I think having this kind of event like this one, but having more French people and sharing, I feel that there is a lot of potential in this community here, and from what I know on the French side as well. So it would be interesting to try to develop that maybe.
Okay, so that maybe links to so what would you need to restart this collaboration or to start new collaborations?
Well, I only know the bottom-up mechanism. So for that, we need to discuss and discover also what the other research groups are working on. But I think the main point is to develop a common vision. And the way I see the field, it's my feeling, it's very personal, but I feel like we are following the trend that was launched by other countries with other principles, other cultures. And I think it would be nice, especially in this moment, that Europe also develops its own vision and help the researchers also to better valorize their efforts, maybe with different standards. I think we really need to think about what we produce as scientists. And also talking about impacts, it cannot be only, number of papers and whatever fancy conference you've been presenting your results. I think we should have a more global understanding of what could bring more meaning to the researchers themselves, but also to those who fund our work, for those who are in the public sector at least.
So I think this ties a bit with what you mentioned. So this goal of AISSAI to also help shaping the European strategy on AI.
Yes, so from what I heard, things are moving fast. So there is I think in 2025 they started a vision for how AI should be embedded in the UE strategy. So they talk about a big AI center, the gigafactories and so on, which is maybe something different. What interests us here in this audience is really science. And there is in the AI continent plan that I showed the logo in my presentation, there is a part on the fundamental science and AI. And I think here, institutions, countries, and also centers who are at the forefront of AI and science should get involved in that to make sure that indeed this scientific part is going to foster in the EU strategy. Because AI is on all fields, a lot of industry, and also on private companies. But here we are really focusing on science. So keeping the link between science, AI, and AI and science is crucial if you want to have, as you say, a European vision and also keep science at the core of it. So there is really a challenge here, and people need to get involved, I think, in this thought. Yeah.
And I'm wondering if Helmholtz is also involved in this process. Do you know if, like, probably at the higher level, if we are involved in discussing this European strategy as well for AI for science? Or?
I think
okay.
that there are actually interactions and consultations. Yes.
So not at the level of Helmholtz AI, but probably the higher head office.
I cannot say something very detailed there, but there's definitely consultation.
Okay, Florian is nodding.
Yeah.
Good, we are part of it. If you need some input from the crowd and from Helmholtz AI, you can, yeah. Okay, so maybe we could also think about funding mechanisms, or how can we like have more of these collaborations? What would be your wishes? Sophie, I see you are nodding.
Yeah, I think it's important. So as for the specific partnership with KIT, we've got one example where we funded a PhD, and then the two researchers, one from Ghana, one from KIT, they went for the ANR-DFG joint call, and they got their project. So it's a nice example of how we can transform some simple, small amount of collaboration in a bigger one. So at least the ANR-DFG is a good example for that. And yeah, and after the next level for me is European funding, like Horizon and all this sort of funding, where we can find also a nice way to get money for AI research. Yeah.
So these are those two, the two main funding mechanisms for this this collaboration between ANR and DFG, and then ERC, basically. Okay.
I'm aware of these ones, but there may be other ones.
And then additionally would be those local initiatives like KIT or...
at least the local initiative, that's where...
I mean, I think, let's say that's for, like on a scientific level, definitely important approaches, and I think we need to do everything to protect the ERC that this continues, but the other thing that really strikes me in that is, it really takes a really long time to get a proposal through. I mean, it could be a two-step process that takes whatever, 12 months, 2 years. And we're talking AI. I mean, when you write the proposal, submit it, it's reviewed. I mean, the world has changed again. I mean, this is simply too slow. This doesn't. I mean, this worked maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but it's no longer working that way. But on the other hand, politicians then immediately ask, okay, now your project has begun yesterday, so where where's the return of investment? I mean, that's at the other end. So I think we're all facing that. And I think we need to find new funding mechanisms where you say, well, I mean, it might be a process to select the right people, let's say, but then give them the freedom to act just faster and find the right people, increase mobility of the next generation and all that. So I think we need to make us heard in that area, because that's what we are facing. It's taking too long to get the money, and then we have to write reports every 3 months, and it's, yeah.
Okay. And sometimes we don't need a lot of money. We just need some things to start the whole process. And I really believe also in all these collective infrastructure that we can build in terms of the big computing facilities that we can gather. And it's free access to every researcher. So that's the sort of things we don't need a lot of funding for that. Of course, for the experiment and the physics and so on we need, but it's more long-term things rather than... And
that's maybe the other aspect that is important is basically data. I mean, you touched on that in health, I mean, but that's another, to me, really a big question. I mean, also with respect to open data that we share with the world, but the rest of the world may not share with us, and all these aspects. So I think we need a strategy there, because that's basically the basis then for making impact with AI, that you have the right data that you use.
Okay, so thanks. We have to close the discussion, so that's perfect for me, because I wanted to ask you what would be your big wish for the next year. So I say you would say speed up this funding process and have shared data infrastructures, right? And you mentioned shared computing infrastructures, also shared infrastructures.
Yeah, definitely, and have so more events like that, like Nicolas said, in terms of French. It's really nice, I'm really in favor of the bottom-up strategy and having these events and making contacts with people and so on. That's the way I like this way.
Nicolas, what would be your best wish for?
I think having the same event with French and German next year would be great.
Trying to look at the right, yes. Excellent. And Timo?
Yeah, I very much resonate with what you said, indeed. And I would like to add, there was a mechanism in Helmholtz actually for international labs, where we had one with Canada, which was a really good mechanism. I think that funding mechanism stopped, but something along those lines, which is a bit more easier to get, but it was very good. So there was really basically a matching from both sides, strong matching required, but still it was a significant funding from Helmholtz to really over 5-6 years to push forward such a collaboration.
So I'm looking again in the right direction. Okay, good. Just making sure that it lands in the good years. And Julien?
No, I would love to see a trimester organized between AISSAI and Helmholtz AI. Let's see if this is possible. I have to discuss also with other people in AISSAI, but that could be a very good opportunity. And as Nicolas said, having the same conference in France next time would be excellent. Yeah.
So we can advise you if you want to organize a similar conference. We can give you our return on experience.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So thanks again, all of you, for sharing your thoughts. And we'll see next year at HAICON, when we all come to HAICON, where we stand. Thanks.